Okay, this is a demonstration of the alpha release of the binary clock. It's an iPhone written, or it's an application that was initially written for the iPhone, but also has a version now available for the iPad. The iPad is slightly different in that the graphics are larger and there's a different way of updating the settings. Now, the reason it's called a binary clock is it displays time both as what you would normally see, like for example 2:06 p.m., but also in what's called a binary format. And basically what the binary language is this is the heart of how computers actually work. They all operate on what's called the binary code. And this is a code made up of ones and zeros. And these are, as you probably heard, these are called bits in terms of computer language, with 8 bits forming what's called a byte. So if you have 2 megabytes worth of memory, you have 2 million bytes, or since there are 8 bits per byte, you have 16 million bits. Now these ones and zeros, all numbers, all letters, everything is represented by ones and zeros. And what the binary clock does is it displays time both as the standard human readable time that we're all used to, as well as its binary equivalent. And it does this in a series of what I call themes, both animated themes as well as static themes. But let's just get right into the application. I'm actually running this on the iPhone simulator on my iMac. So here's the opening screen. And what is being shown is one of the active themes, and the active themes are ones that include animation. At this point, as far as the first release, I want to have 3 animated themes and 3 static themes. And I'm relatively close on the static themes, but I need some help in getting 1 or 2 of the animated themes finished. This is the first animated theme, the one I really like, which is the phases of the moon. But now just kind of quickly go over. You just heard a gong, and it's possible to set a chime in a whole different series of setups. For example, you can have the application chime every hour, or every minute, or every 10 minutes, or every 15 minutes, or every 30 minutes. You can also set it up so that it will not show the human time. You can flip between the AM and the PM. So right now it's being displayed as a AM PM thing. So it's at this point it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can flip that to a 24-hour clock if you want. You can also show the date with the month, year, and day of the week, and of course the date. Now down here is the settings button. I'd actually like something a bit less obtuse, but for this alpha release it certainly seems functional. If I do a select of it, what we have at the top here are I'm able to choose one of the 3 animated themes, and right now it's set to moon, or I can pick a static theme. I can also at this point toggle on or off some of the features. So for example, if I wanted to shut off the human time, I can click that, go up to done, and now what used to be down here, the human time, is now gone, but everything else is still there. If I go back to the settings, let's turn human time on, but let's take the AM PM indicator off, and let's also not show the date and the time. And we'll turn the chime off just for a bit because it might be a bit interfering. So I go back here, and now we're dealing with a 24-hour clock, and there's no date or time, and the AM PM indicator is gone. But I like a busy screen, so I'll go turn all that stuff back on. Now in terms of themes, one of the static themes is called retro, and one of the animated themes that I want I've called retro flip, and this will make sense right about now. Here's the static retro theme, and the reason it's retro is I want to kind of invoke a feeling for those old mechanical digital clocks that would flip the numbers to display the time. For this static version of retro, there's no flipping going on. But I think an animation would be relatively straightforward. And nothing really super complicated in the way of animation. If you think about it, you basically have 1 second at most to perform the animation in, and the phases of the moon animation, it has basically 7 frames running over the course of that 1 second. So 10 frames showing the number 1 flipping to the number 0 and the number 0 flipping to the number 1 is really all that's required, and that would complete the animated theme for this retro view. But I really quite like it. I'll show you the other themes. There's one called Earth, and this is another static theme. And what this is might not be easy to see on the video, but it's the Earth lit by daylight and lit at night, and showing the lights of the city. Now, just to reinforce, there's a larger version on the iPad that you can actually see the outline of North America and the cities and stuff like that. On the iPad, on the iPhone, each of these individual animated images is 40 pixels by 40 pixels. On the iPad, it's 80 pixels by 80 pixels. So the animations have to be 80 pixels by 80 pixels. And the iPhone will automatically scale it down. For the real diehard geeks, there's an animation called Fireworks, which takes all sorts of contextual cues out of the display, takes those completely away. So if we make it really hardcore, we'll turn everything off, and this is pure geek heaven. So the idea is in your mind, go, okay, what are these numbers? Well, let's see, this number here, that's the number 1. So it's 1, and I know that this is the hour area, so there's 1, 2, 3, so this would be the 3rd binary digit, so that's 4. So this is 14 for the hour, so it must be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Here's another 1, and now we have these bits flipped, so this is 1:13, so actually 2:13 in the afternoon. So if I go back, turn the human time on, go done, sure enough, 2:13 in the afternoon. And the final, this is what I'm using. Let's see, the old retrofit flip. This is just a placeholder animation, but this is the first one that I created. Just kind of a blue blob thing. I might actually do this, a much nicer version of this, as the second animation, just call it blobs, because it does, especially from a distance, have a nice pulsating feel to it. So that's pretty well it. The sounds are downloaded off the internet, and another idea that I have for upcoming versions is, let me just turn, one other thing before we get into that. I'll turn everything back on, and if you orient the iPhone differently, for example, right now it's in portrait mode, but if I flip it into landscape, it looks like this, and you can see that everything automatically slides up and is nice, correctly positioned. That was actually a lot of work to do that. The iPhone, in terms of programming it, is not as simple as just pasting things down. You actually have to write code and know positions on the screen. So if I flip it back, bloop, it all flips back accordingly. The final thing is, if I exit the application and go to settings and take a look, and this what you'd see a lot more stuff on a real iPhone, including a lot more applications. And this is the next application upcoming, Pocket Watch, but it's not ready for prime time at all yet. But anyway, go to the binary clock, and you can set the ones that we just saw in the application itself, but you also have the option of, here's where you can toggle on how often to play the chimes. As well, you can select a starting theme, sun, moon, like right now it's retro and all of that. And I've written the application so the moment you make a change anywhere, the system instantly picks it up. So you don't have to restart the application to see the change. The application will recognize those each time it draws the animations. So that's it. That's the iPhone version of the binary clock. And what I need is just basically 1 or 2 more sequences of animated themes, 80 pixels by 80 pixels, showing binary something. Like as an example of binary, the Earth, it's either night or day. That's either yes or no, on or off. The phases of the moon go from a full moon to a new moon, or a thin crescent, and in a way that's binary as well. So the animations have to be in that kind of headspace of on or off. And the one I can't wait to see this, I think it'll look just spectacular, will be the retro flip, the numbers flipping from 0 to 1 and then back to 0. Anyway, I'll do a short little thing on the iPad as well, just for completeness.